Mini chainsaws are great tools that every homeowner should own, and today I'm testing two of the most popular models to find out if more expensive means more better. Milwaukee calls their saw the Hatchet, and it runs on the M12 battery architecture. It's compact yet heavy duty, and it's extremely powerful. It's part of the Fuel line, which means it's brushless, but it also means it's expensive. Now, I'm a bit of a Milwaukee fangirl myself, and if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you my Milwaukee tattoo. I'm just kidding. Or am I? I am, but I do like the brand and I have a lot of their stuff. I work moderately hard for my money, and I'm sure you work even harder for yours. And in this economy, we need value. Low-cost tool options are tempting, but obviously we don't want to buy something if it's complete junk. The Saker saw comes in under $70 and it's available on Amazon. It's lightweight, it's super compact, and for the money, it represents a huge value. I'm going to compare these saws side by side and show you the features of both. Then I'm going to test the crap out of them and determine which saw actually works the best and give you an honest recommendation. And don't forget that both of the saws used in this video will be linked in the video description if you want more information about either product. The first thing to note between these two bad boys is the size, and they're actually fairly different. The Milwaukee is still a fairly large saw when compared to the Saker's lightweight pistol grip design. The Saker sports a tiny but mighty 4-inch bar, and I don't know, I think 4 inches is pretty big. I mean, you really don't need anything too much bigger than 4 inches. You know what I mean, guys? Now, the Milwaukee is like the guy she told you not to worry about, with an 8-inch bar, which is much longer and way fatter. I mean, 8 inches, that's like too much, right? That's like a little too big. The Saker saw's handle is comfortable and it's definitely designed for one-handed use, but look at the placement of the safety trigger release. It's only accessible on one side, which is great for right-handed users, but if you have a physical disability, like being left-handed, it's going to be a little trickier for you to use this tool. The Milwaukee has a great handle as well, and due to the size, it's almost a two-handed endeavor. So it has another handle on the top used to apply downward force while you're cutting. The safety switch on the Milwaukee is a pass-through design, so it doesn't matter which hand you're holding it in, you can still access it and use the tool with ease. Left-handed people and ambidextrous people will have no issues with this tool whatsoever. The Milwaukee uses the M12 batteries, which we all know and love, and if you have a lot of other Milwaukee tools, that's going to be a huge advantage to owning this particular tool, because the batteries will be interchangeable. The Saker battery clips in the bottom of the tool, and it uses a generic charger that's included with the kit. Everything in life is better with just a little bit of lubrication, and that's no different with mini chainsaws. The Milwaukee has a built-in reservoir for the bar and chain oil that automatically lubricates the chain as you're using it, just like a big boy saw. And the Saker doesn't. That's where I break out a little can of the Dub D40 and I hit it with a little spritz before I do any cutting. It's not a huge deal, but the Milwaukee has the advantage in this particular category. Bumper spikes are a feature on the Milwaukee, and as an added bonus, they're actually made out of metal. Now, the Saker has some molded ridges in the plastic body of the tool, but it's really just not the same. Adjusting the chain tension is easy on the Milwaukee because it has a built-in tool holder right on the saw itself, so you always have the tool in a conveniently located area. The Saker adjusts in a similar way by loosening the nut, but it doesn't have storage for the tool, so you're gonna have to do that separately. Now that you've got a pretty good rundown of each one of the saws, it's time to get to the fun part and see what these babies actually do in action. Both saws rip through light cutting duty fairly easily with little problem. The Milwaukee cuts through a little bit faster, but it's also a larger, more powerful saw, so that's to be expected. I really like the lightweight ease of use offered by the Saker saw. I find that it has decent power and can quickly cut through most fallen branches and light trimming jobs. Even when tested on the thicker stuff, it still has the power to cut through. Branches that are as thick as the bar is long are no problem, and by making multiple cuts from opposite directions, this saw can actually chew through some pretty impressively thick stuff. The Milwaukee is indeed the powerhouse of the two saws, and it can get through everything just a little bit easier than the Saker can. The larger bar gives it the clear advantage when it comes to thicker branches. It's also a little bit heavier, and sometimes two-handed operation feels more natural than one-handed. One thing that I don't like about the Milwaukee is that applying too much downward pressure while you're cutting triggers some sort of overload protection switch that shuts off the saw. Now, I think built-in safety parameters are good so that you don't wreck your tool, but I was surprised at how easily I was bumping up against that overload protection threshold. I like both saws, and I think you'll be happy getting either one. But when it comes to choosing, keep these two things in mind. Number one, do you own a gas chainsaw or a larger form chainsaw? I still have my big old steel farm boss, and I keep it up on the cabinet there as part of my set, mainly because I rarely use it. But if I did have a big tree come down, I'd still grab that and fire it up and get the work done. Since I have the gas saw for the really big stuff, I'm more inclined to grab the little Saker on the day-to-day use because it's cute and small and fits in my purse. But seriously, the grab-and-go features of these mini chainsaws is a huge selling point. I obviously own both, but I'm often reaching for the Saker because it's just that much easier to use. I think the Milwaukee is really more of a mid-weight saw. And if a homeowner was only going to have one chainsaw to rule them all, I would recommend the Milwaukee because it's a better jack of all trades in that it can do the light stuff, but if it needed to do the heavier stuff, it would be the better option. Since I have my big boy saw, I find myself using the Saker more often for the easy, smaller, day-to-day trimming stuff. The second thing you need to keep in mind, do you already own Milwaukee tools? If you don't have a chainsaw at all, but you already own a bunch of Milwaukee tools that use the M12 battery form factor, I'd recommend you get the Milwaukee hatchet. It's gonna be awesome. Cost is a big factor with the Milwaukee, and it's nearly 4 times as expensive as the Saker. But you can minimize the cost by just buying the tool only, and you already have all the other batteries, so that won't be a problem for you. If you don't have Milwaukee tools already, the cost is kind of a toughie. It's essentially 4 times more expensive than the Saker saw, and after using both, the Milwaukee does have some advantages, but it's not 4 times better to justify the pricing. Either way, if you add a mini chainsaw to your yard tool collection, you will not be disappointed. And if you're like me, you'll find yourself reaching for your battery-powered mini chainsaw while your gas chainsaw sits on the shelf collecting dust. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, think about subscribing to the channel. I have more great content coming out every week. Well, more great content coming soon.